first person I want to bring up, and then we're going to talk about sponsors and other people, because this gentleman is very busy. Times Square sees maybe 400,000 people a day. And actually, we're going to give a big applause because it's an anniversary, I believe 120 years. So Tom Harris is the president of the Times Square Alliance, who without we would not be here. Tom? All right.
Thank you very much, everyone, and welcome to Times Square. It's so great that you could be anywhere today to celebrate Earth Day, and you chose Times Square, and we really are thrilled and want to welcome everyone here for that event. As Paul said, we're all busy. I know I'm busy. I know all of us are busy. But we can't be too busy and busy enough to think about the planet. So it's all about taking the small steps. About 10 years ago, the Times Square Alliance, wanting to do a little bit more for public space recycling, started a Big Beller solar project, which you'll see our trash receptacles have some recycling. And that's just the first step that we can all take. The second step is a reusable bag, like the one that I have here from my local ShopRite, and then stuff that we're doing in our organization inside, just to be a little bit more be a little bit more efficient, is reusable water bottles. So again, welcome to Times Square. Thank you very much for being here for Earth Day. This is the day that we pause to think about our planet. We only have one planet, but we should think about it every single day and make those small adjustments that if we all do it together, we can make for a more sustainable planet. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Tom. And it's my honor and our honor to put this all together for all of you. And because we're able to, because we've had great support from Times Square Alliance and for our next speaker, who is an environmentalist of and to himself. And that is the president of the Borough of Manhattan, Mr. Mark Levine, who's been serving since January 2022. Previously, he was a council member of 7th District representing West Harlem, Harlem Heights, Morningside Heights, Upper West Side, where I'm from, and Washington Heights. In his 8 years in the city council, Mark was a leading voice for tenants' rights, public health, equity in schools, transit, parks, and housing. As chair of the city council health committee, Mark rose to national prominence as a leader in fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're all still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, and Mark was a leader here in New York. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, actually, for all you do. Mark founded a community credit union unit in Washington. That's a lot of stuff. I know. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, and Mark is right, and he is fantastic. What a wonderful guy. And once again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mark, for helping us.
Okay, hello Times Square, hello New York City, happy Earth Day. Can you give it up again for the United Nations Orchestra? That was an inspiring, beautiful, brilliant performance. We had a lot of Broadway productions out here in the heart of Times Square. We had Beyonce perform up on that balcony, but I have never heard classical music, opera, original compositions so beautiful as the United Nations Orchestra. Give it up one more time for them. And to our host today, the godfather of this event, Reverend Paul Slatkus. Give it up for Paul again. Not just a New Yorker, but a resident of the great borough of Manhattan, of the Upper West Side. You have come to the right place to celebrate Earth Day, everybody. You are at the crossroads of the world. You are on the island of Manhattan in the greatest city in the world. And we are a city on the front lines of the fight to protect our planet on Earth Day and every day. So Paul asked that between the wonderful entertainment, that I say a word or two about our challenges to protect our planet here in New York City as we celebrate Earth Day. And you know, the number one source of greenhouse gases here, it's not our cars or our trucks or our buses, it's all these tall buildings. 70% of the greenhouse gases in New York City are generated by our large buildings. So 5 years ago, we passed a law known as the Climate Mobilization Act that gave New York City the most aggressive plan in the world to win the race to carbon neutrality by requiring all these big buildings to retrofit so that by 2030 they've reduced their greenhouse gas usage by 40%, and by 2050 that they get to net zero carbon neutrality. We're going to do that in New York City. This is big. You can applaud for that goal. No other city on earth can match it, but they should. And we know that to achieve our climate goals, we got to get people out of cars, onto the subway, into mass transit. That's tough to do. We passed a law that's taking effect in June called congestion pricing. That's going to get people out of their cars and onto the subway. A little more controversial, but will you applaud for that too? There you go. And we know that the way we collect and manage our waste has a significant climate impact. New York City is behind on composting. If you believe in composting, will you make some noise? Yes, you do. So we're going to get composting in every building in Manhattan by next year. This is the goal because when organics go to landfill, they decompose, it emits methane, that contributes to climate change. We don't want that. We want our organics, our food waste sent to compost. That is a win for the environment. And we are pushing an inspiring initiative to plant 1 million more trees in New York City. What do you say to that? Trees absorb CO2. They clean our air. They make a neighborhood cooler on a hot day. In the midst of a big storm event, they can absorb water so it doesn't flood our sewers and our subways. If you love trees, make some noise. Well, we've come together to push to plant 1 million more trees in New York City for our physical health, for our mental health, for our climate. We want to plant them on streets. We want to plant them in parks. We want to plant them in schoolyards, on public housing campuses, on rooftops, everywhere in the city to green our New York, to make it more resilient. And finally, while we fight to win the race to carbon neutrality, we want to protect New York City from the climate change that's already here. We know seas are rising. And just 10 years ago, in Superstorm Sandy, we lost New Yorkers to this storm. So we are making our coastline in this city of islands more resilient all around the southern tip of Manhattan. We're building up our coastline so the next time there's a major flood event, we'll be safe. We're going to do all this in Manhattan and New York City, and we're committing to this on Earth Day. And this is a multinational event, so I'm going to say a couple words in Spanish. What do you say about that? Si ustedes entienden español, hagan un poco de bulla. ¿Se entiende? ¡Wow! ¿Para qué yo hable en inglés? Eso fue pérdida de tiempo. Se ve que hay hispanos parlantes aquí que son ambientalistas. Hoy, el Día de la Tierra, el Condado de Manhattan y Nueva York, estamos sumamente comprometidos a la lucha por el bien de nuestro planeta, por el bien de proteger a nuestro medio ambiente acá en esta islita de Manhattan, a través de los 5 condados de Nueva York, hoy el Día de la Tierra y en todo el año. Así que muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you today. To those of you who are observing the Jewish holiday of Passover tonight, as I will be, Chag Pesach Sameach. Thanks so much, everybody.
All right, thanks, Mark, so much. In every language. Okay. Gracias, senor. All right, and shalom.